My imagination is growing and so am I. I'm getting big. So eating from the cool kids, it's so juicy. So I could touch the sky.
Become a cool kid now by visiting www.fruitycoolkids.com.
Good evening, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to C Results on IBN TV. I am your math teacher, Sir Ijaz Ramsahai, and today, of course, being Monday, we're going to be going through some mathematics with you today, as well as English language arts. Both of those segments, as you know, are call-in segments, so we anticipate your calls and your participation this evening. But before we get into that, you know that we have already established our tradition of Monday being that day where we shine the spotlight on those students who have done exceptionally well in our quizzes and assignments that were due last week, all right? So we had 3 assignments, or 2 quizzes and 1 assignment that was due for math, English, as well as for creative writing, all right? And we had a number of students, despite it being, you know, especially in the mathematics, it being a challenging one this time around, we had a number of students who were able to top both math and English language arts with full marks, all right? So we're going to be sharing those names with you, of course, as well as those students who came really close to joining them at the top of the hill, all right? So for the last consecutive 2 weeks, we had only 1 person attaining 100% in both the ELA and the mathematics. This week, we actually have 6 students, all right, to honor. But before I give you those names, I'm going to give the parents and the viewers out there a general idea of how the class performed in the submission of these assignments. So the class continues to grow at a pretty astronomical rate, all right? We're up to 500 student members now, and we seem to maintain this roughly 25% parent account participation, all right? And we always like to highlight that whether or not you have a parent account linked to your children's account, it is best at this age to monitor your children when they are on those devices, be it the laptop or the phone or the tablet, all right, to ensure that when they're on there for C results purposes, that they actually do what they are intended to do, all right? So we had 105 students who submitted the ELA quizzes, all right? And this was on subject-verb agreement. Ms. Nyla would have covered some additional rules in subject-verb agreement, all right, in that week. And the students did very, very well, all right, as opposed to the previous week where they struggled a bit in identifying the different types of adverbs, all right, in the subject-verb agreement. The second time around that we've done it, all right, although it's some different rules we are testing here, 92% of the class, they know the students who attempted it, they passed with an average score of 71%, all right? So that was pretty well done. Of course, this does not mean that your child would have gotten 71%. This is the class average. And as we like to remind you time and again, you are free to open those quizzes the instant that you've submitted them and click on Review Quiz, and you will see exactly what your child scored and the questions that they got wrong, as well as the correct answers, all right? So there's a lot of benefit in taking these quizzes. There is nothing to be ashamed about in scoring low all right, because you're going to get feedback that will ultimately help you, all right? Remember, these marks, children especially, they are in no way influencing your report book at the end of the school term, except probably positively that you'll get, some improvement. But in terms of it actually being there, of course, as you know, it's not going to form part of your teacher's assessment, nor is it going to influence directly your SEA score, right? So the point that I'm trying to drive home is, don't be ashamed to do, not so well in these quizzes, because that's what it's there for. It's really to test your mettle, to see where you are, all right, for yourself, as well as for us to have an idea of where the class is. And of course, if you get something wrong, if you struggle, you will get the right answers, and hopefully you'll understand why you got those right answers. And if you don't, of course, you can message us, all right? But even before you take it to that level, all of our videos, all of our episodes, they are available on the Facebook page of C Results under the Videos tab. And they are also available on YouTube on our C Results channel, all right? So thank you. We continue to have new subscribers to the YouTube channel all the time, so we thank you for doing so. So don't be afraid to slip up on these assignments, students. It's not the end of the world. It's there for your betterment and for your improvement, all right? So we had 113 students who submitted for the mathematics, which entailed comparing fractions and converting units of length, all right? And as I said last week, Thursday, we've noticed that students were really struggling in this particular aspect of mathematics and understanding how to move and how to manipulate that decimal point, how to add zeros before and after the point, and so on, all right? So we had a second bite at the cherry this weekend because we gave you all, or we covered the conversion of mass, all right, the units of mass, which is very similar to the units used in length, all right, in terms of the prefixes and so on. So you all have an entire week to really try and redeem yourself, all right? So, of course, we had 113 students submitting for the mathematics, and 58% of the class passed this assignment, which is just a little bit over half of the class, and the average score was 51%, all right? Of course, we had some students who totaled it, all right? They got 100%, as you'll see very shortly, all right? There are some students who did okay, but a lot of students did not do particularly well in this one, and that's why the average score was brought down a bit. So parents, remember, when your children are revising, put some emphasis on this particular topic, all right, converting between the different units of length and mass, all right? That is a problem area. So that is another benefit of our program, identifying areas where students in general are struggling, all right? So we also had 3 new assignments that were posted on Saturday, all right? And they have until Friday, again at 11:59 p.m., and that would be on the content that we've covered last week, all right? All of our videos are there on Facebook. All of the videos are there on YouTube. Of course, you can use whatever supplemental material you have, your own textbooks, your own workbooks, all right? So look at the topic. Of course, it will be based on last week's content, so it wouldn't be too hard to guess what the content is going to be on. Of course, there's also the hint of what's being tested in the title. But remember, once you click to start that quiz, that's the timer there. You're in a real exam condition, all right? You can't exit that web page. You can't come out of it and start it over, all right? You have the allotted time, so make sure that you are familiar with the material before you attempt it, all right? You have an entire week to do so, all right? And those are due on Friday, so we're going to move on now and highlight those students who would have excelled, all right? So we have our first 3 students who got 100%, all right? We have Joshua Barrow, who calls us very regularly, all right? He got total in both the ELA and the mathematics, all right? Even that mathematics quiz that gave so many students trouble, all right? He was able to get 100% in it, so congrats to you, Joshua, as well as to Sebastian, who has been a mainstay either in our 100% performers or the ones who just missed out. He's been there and thereabouts for the majority of our weeks of programming so far. we have Ishan Gangaram. All right, congratulations to you. And we've also have 3 more students who got 100% in both. That's Zaria James, as well as Caitlin Sunarine and Shannon Sitahal. All right, so congrats to all of these people, Caitlin and Zaria and so on. They are more relatively new students to our program, but they've already established themselves as consistent workers, and they are always active on the Edmodo page, supporting their fellow students who have questions and so on. All right, that's a lovely aspect of our Edmodo website, is that students who are having difficulty with their homework and their assignments and so on, they post questions in there, and we allow the students to have debates, to have discussion, and then Ms. Nyla and I moderate that discussion afterwards and select the correct responses, the correct techniques, or we provide one if there isn't any, all right? So we thank those students who are doing well and who also help their fellow students who aren't doing so well to get better, all right? So that's excellent. We really commend you, and we applaud that effort of yours. All right, so we only have a few students, or 2 students to be exact, who missed out by 1 mark maximum in either the English or the maths, and Ms. Clinton and Shane Ramjit. All right, so congrats to you guys, and hopefully next time around you might be able to score 100. But again, as we like to say, if it doesn't happen, it's all right, okay? You are working, you are getting better and better every week. You are getting the feedback to help you improve on those places that you have weaknesses. All right, so this is just an added incentive here, all right? It's not the be-all and end-all by any means. As long as you're with us, as long as you're working, we appreciate you, and we thank you for being with us and for seeking to better yourself, all right? And in our creative writing, all right, we have a few students who got, total as well. We have Sebastian, Ishan, Damara Johnson, Faith Osborne, Caitlin Sunarine, and 3 students who missed out by just a little bit, Talia, Chris, and Ebenezer. Now, what I want to say is that look at Sebastian, Ishan, and Caitlin. They also got total in English and mathematics, all right? So, guys, we really hope that all of you continue to persist, all right? And we really look forward to when you write your SEA exam, and later on you find out how you did, that you share with us, your experience and how it was, and, how you feel after all of this preparation. We really welcome it, and we'll feel so proud knowing that you have been with us as we embarked and we continue to venture on this journey. All right, so for those first-time viewers on Facebook, we always have first-time viewers every week. All right, some of you might be watching us on IBN TV as well. All right, if you are not, or your child is not yet part of our Edmodo community where we post these quizzes and these assignments, you can visit www.edmodo.com or download the Edmodo app on the Play Store, the Apple Store. All right, and you use the code 6KJQ3Y to register as a student, and your child will have access to our quizzes and assignments, all right? So we welcome you to join us. We welcome you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, see results, and to like or follow us on Facebook, all right? We also like and follow the IBN TV Facebook page, where this is also streamed simultaneously, all right? So, all right, there was just one question which we didn't get to do in the measurement exercises last week that had to do with mass. We had one last question, and I think it's a nice question, so I'm just going to open up the lines to you now, and hopefully one of you all will be able to call and give us some assistance with this question. Those numbers will be on the screen very shortly, and feel free to call and to give us your attempt and your advice on how to answer this particular problem, all right? And of course, we're moving on today from measurement back into geometry, all right? We're going to do some geometry work today. So for those of you who love shapes, you love the solid shapes and the flat shapes and the properties and so on, all right? You might be artistically inclined, you might be interested in engineering and graphic design and so on. Geometry might be a very, exciting aspect of mathematics to you. So that's what we'll be focusing on today, but we have this one last question here. in our mass conversion exercise. So again, those numbers will be provided for you, and feel free to give us a call to help us to answer this particular question. All right, so the question goes that Isaiah placed some oranges in a bag, causing the scale to balance. All right, an orange weighs 150 grams. How many oranges are in the bag? All right, so essentially we have a scale here, and we have a weight, a 1.5 kilogram weight on one side. All right, in order for the scale to be balanced, we must have an equal weight on the opposite side. All right, so all of the oranges are actually in the bag. All right, this is just for, visual effect. All right, so we want to know how many oranges we have in this bag. And I have a caller already. So good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello.
Hi, and who am I speaking with?
Kevin Chan.
Hey, welcome, Mr. Chan. Mr. Chan is an excellent creative writer. And now today you're going to show me your mathematics skills, all right? So
Okay.
we have 1.5 kilogram weight on one side. If each orange weighs 150 grams, how many oranges do we have to put in the bag, Kevin?
How much is this? How much is this? 1, 5, 8.
Okay, so Kevin, can we please ask you to lower the volume on the television?
Okay, 150.
All right, so Kevin is working that problem out right now. All right, 1.5 kilograms, each orange is 150 grams. How many oranges are in our bag, all right? So it's more than just a straightforward. Okay, so Kevin is saying 10. Kevin, how did you arrive at 10?
The answer is 1.5.
No, you said 10 before, and that is the correct answer. I'm wondering how you got to 10.
Divide 1,000.5 kg is 1,500 grams.
Right.
And 150 divided by 1,500 will give you 10.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Kevin. You are very correct. Now, it is actually 1,500 divided by 150, all right? A lot of people tend to say it back to front. You are dividing 150 into 1,500, all right? Or you are dividing 1,500 by 150. How did he get 1,500? You might recall that 1.5 kilograms, all right? How many grams are in a kilogram? 1,000. So we had to multiply this 1.5 by 1,000, therefore moving our decimal point 3 times, all right? That's how we ended up with 1,500. And each orange weighs 150 grams, and we just have to simply divide now, and we'd get 10 oranges, all right? 10 oranges. So thank you so much, Kevin. That is very correct. All right, so note well, students, that you may be asked a question that would use your critical thinking skills, all right? It's not always about strict application of some rule, all right? It might be mixed in with other rules in mathematics, with other types of operations, and also you have to use your critical thinking skills to resolve these problems, all right? So well done, Kevin. So now, parents, we're on to geometry again. We're just reminding you that there are 4 main strands of mathematics that are tested in the SEA, all right? We have number, measurement, which is what we were just doing, all right? We have geometry, and we have statistics, all right? Geometry and statistics have the least number of questions, all right? They are tied for the least number of questions on the paper, but of course, if we want to get those top marks, we have to be proficient at all of these strands, all right? So we're back into our geometry today, and we'll be looking at solids, all right? So just to remind you, there are 7 questions out of the total 45 questions on the paper that have to do with geometry, 3 in sections 1 and 2, and 1 in the 3rd section. Section 1 questions go for 1 mark each. Section 2 questions go 2 to 3 marks, and the 3rd section, those questions go for 4 marks, all right? So solids, what is a solid? All right. Perhaps you have a football in your living room, a size 1 football or wind ball. All right. You have a nice little box somewhere in the room that you store stuff in. All right. That's a solid figure. It's not plain. It's not flat. All right. And these include solids such as the prism, the pyramid, cylinders, cones, and spheres. All right. So we're going to go through these three-dimensional objects today and tell you something about the properties of these solids, especially the ones that tend to be questioned or quizzed in the SEA exam, the properties that they have, what make them what they are, all right? And you are going to learn along with us, and I'll have you participating in coming up with these properties, all right? So don't worry, you'll be calling us again very soon. All right, so solids. Let's look at the first category that we'll be explaining today, which is the prism, all right? So prisms have polygons as their bases. So if you have been following along with us from the very beginning, we have already mentioned, what a polygon is. It's a closed figure with straight sides, and it must be closed, all right? It must have 3 or more sides, of course, the 3-sided polygon being the triangle. And then we have, the squares, the rectangles, and so on. All right, so do look at those previous episodes on YouTube and Facebook for more clarity if you are not so proficient in it. There are many, many more polygons that we covered. All right, all different types of quadrilaterals, for example. So do have a look at that. All right, their ends or cross sections are equal in shape and size. And we'll see, when we do the various examples very soon, what we mean by that, all right? The number of faces which prisms have is the number of sides of their base plus 2, all right? So the number of faces which they have is the number of sides of the base plus 2, and we'll see that in action again very soon, all right? So don't worry if that sounds a little puzzling to you at the moment, okay? The edges of a prism are formed when 2 faces of the shape meet, of the solid meet. That is called an edge, all right? And the number of edges a prism has is 3 times the number of sides of their base, all right? So remember the number of faces, we add 2 to the number of sides of the base. For the number of edges, we multiply the number of sides of the base by 3. And finally, the vertices, which are those pointed edges, right, or corners, are formed where 2 edges meet, all right? So edge is where 2 faces meet, and a vertex, or vertices, which is the plural, is where 2 edges meet, and a prism has twice the number of sides of their base, right? That's the number of vertices, is twice the number of sides of their base. So we have sides of base plus 2 giving us the number of faces, sides of base times 3 giving us the number of edges, and sides of base times 2 giving us the number of vertices, all right? And we have here a nice little table of formulae that tells us about the faces, the edges, and the vertices, and you will be tested about this in SEA, and I will show you how they can test you about it, all right? So let's look at our first example of a prism here. All right, so a cuboid is actually a prism. And I would like you to call us now and help me to fill out this missing information here. How many faces we have, how many edges, and how many vertices. All right, so we're going to learn by doing today. All right, so it's a prism. The bases are rectangular or square, all right? And we want to figure out how many faces with edges and vertices there are. So I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hi, good evening, caller.
Hello,
Hello, and who am I speaking with?
Jada Thompson.
Hey, welcome, Jada. And can you help me to fill in the blank spaces in this definition here, Jada?
Yes,
Okay, so go ahead. How many faces do we have in a cuboid?
6 faces.
All right, so the base of a cuboid has how many sides, Jada?
Base?
The base, look at what I'm highlighting here, right? How many sides we have here?
So I'm not seeing it right now.
All right, so tell me how you got that 6 then.
I'll count the faces.
All right, so you counted the faces, all right? No problem, but remember, the base will either be a square or a rectangle, right? So how many sides does a square or a rectangle have? 4 sides, right?
Oh.
Would you agree with that statement?
Yes.
All right, and the number of faces, we have to add 2 to the number of sides of the base. So that's how you add 4 added to 2 gives us 6, all right? So if you don't have a drawing in front of you, for example, but you know that the base is 4-sided, by using these rules, Jada, you can come up with the numbers, all right? So we seem to have lost that call there. All right, so we have 6 faces, and that's applying our first little formula here. All right, for prisms, that the faces, the sides of base, plus 2. All right, do I have another caller on the line to assist me with the number of edges? All right, so what is the formula for number of edges? Side of base times 3. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good evening.
Who am I speaking with?
Kaylee Spencer.
Okay, welcome to our program. Can you tell me how many edges there are in a cuboid?
Okay. 12.
12. How did you come up with that 12? Did you just count it?
Yeah.
All right. So, but do you understand the formula that we are giving you to work it out?
Yeah.
The base has how many sides?
3.
The base has 4 sides, right? Rectangular base will have 4 sides, and we multiply that by 3, and that gives us 12, as you said, right? All right, so, okay, so we're giving you all a little trick today on how to figure this out. And how many vertices does the cuboid have?
Hello?
Yes, hello. Okay, so you need to lower the volume on your television and listen on the phone, all right?
Okay.
Right, so we're working on the vertices now. How many vertices does the cuboid have, caller?
8.
8. All right, great. And do you know the formula to work it out? Aside from just counting it?
5. 5. Number of sides multiply by 2.
Excellent. So thank you very much, right? Those are our 8 vertices. The base is 4-sided. All right. This is a prism. It has a uniform cross-section. All right. The both ends are equal in size. All right. They are polygons, 4-sided. And the number of faces is equal to the number of sides of the base, which is 4 in this case, added to 2, which gives us our 6. All right. The number of edges is the number of sides of the base, being 4 again, multiplied by 3, which gives us 12. And the number of vertices is equal to the number of sides of the base multiplied by 2. All right, so that's 4 multiplied by 2, which gives us an answer of 8. All right, so that's a little technique to ensure that you never forget the number of faces, edges, and vertices. All right, and of course, this is the net of a cuboid. You have to become familiar with these as well. All right, so this is what it would look like if we were to unstick those faces, you know, and open out the figure, all right, into a flat surface. This is what the net of the cuboid looks like. And notice we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces identified there. All right. So that is our cuboid. And what about the cube? All right, so it's very similar to the cuboid, except that all of the faces, you know, they are equal in length, the sides of all of the faces of the cube. All right, just like a square is a rectangle with all sides being equal. So I have a cube here now on the screen. So I would like someone to call again and to assist us in determining the number of faces, edges, and sides of our cube. All right? So if you know the answer, feel free to call us now and give us some assistance with this problem. All right? So I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, and who am I speaking with?
Yeah, this is Elsa again.
Okay, welcome back. All right, so can you help me determine the number of faces of a cube?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
6 faces.
All right, 6. Now, I know you can count it, but I want you to tell me how we arrive at that using the formula that we gave. How many sides does the base of the cuboid of the cube have?
1.
The number of sides.
Oh,
The bases are square, right? Would you agree with that statement?
yeah.
So how many sides does a square have?
4.
Great. So the number of faces is the number of sides of the base plus 2. All right? How much does 4 plus 2 give us?
6.
All right. And how many edges do we have?
12.
12. Great. We have 12 edges. And do you remember the formula for working out the edges of the prism?
Yeah.
Tell us.
4 times 3.
Great. Right? 4 times 3. And how many vertices do we have?
8.
Great. We have 8 vertices. All right? So, thank you so much for that call. Those answers were absolutely correct. All right? So, just in terms of to expand a bit on the points or the information that was given before we started this exercise, all right, let's investigate here a bit closer as to what an edge is, what a face is, and what a vertex is, right? So if we just get a bit closer into our cuboid, right, and I'll use the pointer. All right, so the edge, as we said, is where 2 faces meet. All right, so we have this face here, for example, on the side, and we have this face here on the front of the cube, all right, where those 2 faces meet each other. That is an edge, all right? And we said that we have 12 of those edges, all right? The faces are the actual flat figures or polygons that make up the outer surface area of our solid, all right? Those are the faces. And in the case of the cube, all of our faces are square in shape, all right? So those are our faces, and we have the edge here where they meet, all right? And the vertex, all right, are those pointy areas where the edges meet, all right? So let's look again. We have one edge here and another edge on the side meeting at this point over here, all right? And that is called a vertex, all right? So please note the differences between the 3 different concepts. We have the vertex, the edge, and the face. And of course, if you have something like a Rubik's Cube at home, you can, take that up and look at it, or even a dice, all right? Although a lot of dices tend to be rounded at the vertices, all right, but it gives you a good idea of what it means, the concept of a face, an edge, and a vertex, all right? See if you can look at one of those, physically examine it, and be able to determine what is an edge, what is a face, and what is a vertex, all right? So before we move on to the remainder of our figures, I'm going to take a short break for about 2 minutes, and we'll be back after some messages, all right? So don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon.
Got to have my Viva, water but so much better. Got to have my Viva, water but so much better.
Viva sparkling flavored water. Water but better.
Shiklisha Limited, the Caribbean's largest manufacturers of plain and printed paper bags, leaders in plastic bags, vermicelli, split peas powder, and greaseproof paper, ideal for doubles, french fries, and sandwiches. Supplying stores nationwide. For quality products, trust Shiklisha Limited, 665-3336.
Good evening again, callers. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to See Results on IBN TV, Channel 8, as well as on the IBN TV Facebook page and the See Results Facebook page. All right, we are looking at the geometry strand of mathematics again, and we're dealing specifically today with the concept of solids. All right. So far we've looked at the cuboid and the cube and the properties, specifically the number of faces that make up this solid, as well as the number of edges and vertices. And we've looked at a nice, neat little way of identifying or enumerating the number of faces, edges, and vertices without even looking at the figure, as long as we know the number of sides that the base of the prism has, all right? So these are all prisms, okay? And this, of course, is the net of a cube. Notice that all of the faces, in contrast to our cuboid, they are all equal in length, all right? They are all square, right? And how many faces do we have? Of course, we are supposed to have 6, all right? The square being a 4-sided figure. So we added 2 to the number 4 just to verify. That's how we get. That's how we can know, actually, without looking at the figure or looking at the net. All right, so I have another prism here on the screen now, and again, I'll be asking for your assistance in determining the number of faces, edges, and vertices. All right, this is a triangular prism because the base of this prism is triangular in shape. All right, in order for it to be a prism, both the triangles must be the same size, all right? They are polygons, of course, 3-sided polygons. And I have a caller on the line, so good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello,
Hi, good evening, and who am I speaking with?
you're speaking with Julia Benjamin.
Okay, welcome, welcome. Can you assist me in determining the number of faces, edges, and vertices of this prism?
Yeah,
Okay, so how many faces do we have?
5 faces.
5 faces?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. And what's a way that we can Verify that statement. How many sides does the base of this prism have? Or the ends of this prism have? How many?
3.
3, excellent. And in order to determine the number of faces, we add the number of sides to the number 2, all right?
Yeah.
So 3 plus 2 gives us 5, as you rightly said. And what about the edges? How many edges would we have on this prism? 9 edges, great. And what is our formula for working out the number of edges?
Hold on.
All right, so, okay, this is good, this is good. I want you all to sweat a little bit, and I want you all to remember these formulae for calculating the number of faces, edges, and vertices. You never know when it might come in handy, all right? Perhaps you can't visualize it. You don't have time to draw it. Maybe your drawing skills aren't so great, all right? But you still can work it out even without doing any of that, as long as you know the number of sides of the base in our prism, all right? And in this particular case, it's triangular. We know that a triangle has 3 sides, all right? So the number of faces is the number of sides of the base added to 2, which gave us 5. The number of edges is the number of sides of the base multiplied by 3, and 3 by 3 is 9, all right?
Yeah.
And now, how many vertices do we have?
6 vertices.
6 vertices, excellent. And what is the formula for vertices? For
Add up all the corners.
Right, you add up all the corners, and there's another shortcut, all right? It is to multiply the number of sides of the base by 2, all right?
Yeah.
So 3 multiplied by 2 gives us 6. Agreed? All right, okay, Kola. So thank you so much for your help with this triangular prism. All right, so I'm just gonna run it back through with you very quickly, all right, to make sure. It seems that most of our callers so far are not familiar with this particular concept, other than just counting them up, all right? So, which is fine, of course, all right? But what if you're asked and you don't have a figure in front of you, you don't have a piece of paper to draw? I'm just throwing an example out there. Perhaps you have a mental test in school and your teacher asks, you know, how many faces or vertices or edges are there in a cube or a cuboid, a triangular prism, and so on. It's very easy as long as you know the number of sides of the base. All right, so the cuboid, again, it's a 4-sided base. Number of faces is the sides of the base plus 2. All right, that's how we get 6. All right, the edges, sides of the base multiplied by 3. That's how we get 12. And the vertices, the sides of the base multiplied by 2. And 4 multiplied by 2 gives us 8. All right, of course, the base of a cuboid is also 4. The sides of the base is 4 in number, just like the cuboid, all right, cube and the cuboid, except the lengths will be different, all right? So it's again 4 added to 2, which gave us our 6 faces, 4 multiplied by 3, which gives us our 12 edges, and 4 multiplied by 2, which gives us our 8 vertices. All right, and finally, for a triangular prism, all right, it's a 3-sided base, all right, triangular, meaning 3-sided, and 3 added to 2 gave us 5, 3 multiplied by 3 gave us 9, and 3 multiplied by 2 gave us 6. That's for the faces, edges, and vertices. So notice how this formula, it applies and it works out regardless of the prism that we are using, all right? So long as we are aware of how many sides the bases have, all right? And of course, if we were to unfold this triangular prism, this is how the net of it would look, all right? So this weekend, when we are giving assignments again, which is a bit in the future, right? Because you still have this, the ones that were given on Saturday, you have all week to complete it. But just note that you will be questioned about these things: sides, vertices, edges. I'll throw in some nets there, some figures for you to identify by name and so on, all right? So it would be a nice strategy, all right, to memorize those formulae that you are given. All right, so we have now a cylinder, which is an exceptional case. All right, it's considered an exceptional prism. Why? Because its base is not a polygon. All right, there's really no way for you to count the number of sides of a circle. All right, it's all one curved line. All right, joined. So therefore, in the technical definition, it's not a true prism, but we're lumping it in here with the prisms because the both bases, all right, or the ends of the prism are both circular, all right, and they are of the same size as well, all right. So if we were to cut this cross-sectionally, all right, slice it, it's going to be uniform all the way throughout, all right? So for that reason, it's called an exceptional prism, all right? And it has three faces, which are two are circles and one is a rectangular when open and flattened. And we have just the two edges, all right? The two edges being the circumference of the circles at the ends of the cylinder, right? Those are the only two edges, all right? And the face, all right, it has three faces, two being circular and one being rectangular. And if we were to look at the net of the prism, we would see what it is we are talking about here. All right, we have those two equal circles being at either end, and then we have the rectangle, which is flattened. And if we were to roll that and to cover our roll basically with the circles on top and below, we're going to end up with that cylinder, all right? And of course, notice that it has 0 vertices, all right? 0 vertices. A vertex is what again? It is where two edges meet, all right? And the cylinder does have two edges, 1 and 2, but those edges, they don't meet. They can't meet actually, all right? So that's how come we have 0 vertices. And if you look for that, pointy edge there on the cylinder, you're not going to get that as well, all right? So we have a question here now from a SEA sample paper about which of these solids has a uniform cross-section, all right? So uniform cross-section meaning if we were to cut across this figure, all right, parallel to our base, right, to our bases, it's supposed to be equal in size, all right? So what are these three solids that we have on the screen, and which one has a uniform cross-section that I can cut it, slice it across any way and end up with the same size cross-section? All right, so I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBM TV. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening.
And who am I speaking with?
Geosat.
Okay, welcome to the program. And can you tell me which of these solids has a uniform cross-section?
Yes.
Which one?
The cylinder.
The cylinder, excellent. If I were to slice the cylinder at any point parallel to the bases, it's going to give me a circle, all right? If I look at it from above. Great. And what are the other two solids on the screen, by the way, caller?
Yeah.
Can you tell me the names of the other two solids?
Yes, the cone
Yeah.
and the pyramid.
Right, so we have a cone and we have a triangular base pyramid.
Base pyramid, yes.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that call. So the answer is the cylinder. All right. Now, if we were to slice this cone, interestingly, all right, into cross sections, if we slice here at this point, we're going to get a small circle. We slice a bit lower down, like here, the circle will be bigger. And if we were to go all the way down, basically near to the base of the cylinder, we're going to get an even bigger circle. All right, so therefore, it will not be uniform. All right, it will not be uniform. The width, it varies. All right, and it's the same concept here for our triangular base pyramid. If we were to cut a cross section near the top, all right, we're going to get a triangle. This is looking from above, of course. We cut it here a bit lower down. We're going to get an even bigger triangle, and so on as we go down nearer and nearer to the base. But if we cut the cylinder, we're going to get the same circle throughout. All right? The same circle, same size circle throughout. So therefore, it is the solid that has a uniform cross section. All right, so well done. And that is an SEA type question. That's showing you how you can be tested on the content that we've just covered with our pyramids. All right, so we are done now with the prisms basically. And although there are more, there are different types of prisms as well. But these are the ones that you can be tested on for SEA. All right, the cuboid, and the cylinder, as well as the triangular prism. All right, but what about the pyramids now? Notice that we just had a pyramid here in our question. All right, and just like we had the special case of the cylinder being an almost prism, basically, we have the cone being an exceptional type of pyramid as well. All right, but it's not a true pyramid. However, this one here is. All right, and we'll deal with the exception, of course, in our details given here. All right, so what is a pyramid? A pyramid is a solid which again has a polygon as its base. All right, but it does not have an equal polygon on the other end, which is what distinguishes it from the prism. All right, it actually has a point called the apex at the top, which we are going to see very shortly. All right, and these pyramids, they are named based on the shape that is the base of the pyramid. So we, as the caller just identified, we had a triangular base pyramid. All right, and the edges of a pyramid's base and its apex form triangles. They will always form triangles. All right, so please recall that previously when we were determining the faces of a prism, it was the sides of the base added to the number 2, all right? But in this case, we're adding 1. All right, for the edges, it's the side of the base, so the sides of the base multiplied by 3. For our pyramid, we are multiplying by 2. And for the vertices, all right, for the prism, we multiplied by 2. But in this case, we just add 1 again, very much like the faces. So the number of vertices and the number of faces are going to be equal in a pyramid, all right? The number of faces is going to be equal to the number of vertices, all right? So remember that. That might come in handy at one point or the other. All right, so we are looking here now at the triangular based pyramid, which was the pyramid given in the question just now from that SEA sample paper, which did not have a uniform cross section. All right, because if we were to cut it across, you know, at different intervals all along its height, we are going to end up with triangles of different dimensions. All right, so that is the opposite of uniform. That is not uniform. All right, so it's not a prism. All right, and let's look at the base here of our pyramid, which is triangular. all right, on the opposite end of our pyramid, there isn't another triangle, which would have made it actually a triangular prism, all right? We just have this one point here at the top, all right, which we call the apex, all right? And as our note just told us, right, as we were just informed, all right, the edges of a pyramid's base and its apex form triangles. We are looking at the last point here. The edges of a pyramid's base and its apex form triangles. So this is one edge, all right? We have one edge here. This is the apex. At the top, we were to join the apex to that edge, all right? We are going to have to this edge at the bottom here. We're going to get one triangle. We have another edge here of our base, all right? Again, we join that together with or to the apex. It will give us another triangle, all right? And we have the one in the back, all right, this edge here. And we join it, we're going to get yet another triangle, all right? So it doesn't matter actually what shape the base of the pyramid is. Once we join the apex to the edges of the base, we are going to end up with triangles, all right? So I will take one call to end the segment on the triangular based pyramid. Can you call us? Please call and help me to determine the number of faces, edges, and vertices of this triangular based pyramid. So I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hi, good day.
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with?
Here, Spencer.
Hey, welcome back to our program. Can you tell me the number of faces this triangular based pyramid has?
4.
4. All right. And were you paying attention when we were giving you the formulas for this?
Yes.
What is the formula for the number of faces of a pyramid?
3 sides, add 1.
Right. So it's the number of sides of the base, which in this case is 3, right? And we add 1, that's how we get 4. Very good. What about the number of edges?
4.
Okay, so what was the formula for the number of edges of a pyramid?
Oops, I make a mistake.
Go ahead, no problem.
6.
All right, so how did you get that?
3 times
3 times.
2.
All right, excellent, right? So the sides of the base multiplied by 2. All right. And how many vertices do we have?
4.
4, right? And the formula for faces, for vertices is the same as the number of faces, all right? The number of sides of the base plus 1. So thank you so much for your call and for your assistance. And of course, we can see these vertices here, which is the meeting point of those edges. All right, 1, 2, 3. And the apex is always a vertex as well. All right, so we still have some more work to do on the pyramids here in geometry. But we've covered quite a lot today. And thank you so much for calling and for your participation. All right, so parents, please be reminded, you know, if you're liking what you're seeing and if you want to get involved in our online class where we test our students every week on the content of the show, you want to visit edmodo.com or download the Edmodo app and use the code 6KJQ3Y to register your child as a student. You might even register yourself as a parent, all right, and receive notifications as well when we post stuff and when other students post on the platform, all right? So thank you so much for watching. In about 2 minutes' time, we'll be back with Miss Nyla, who is taking us through English language arts today. I have been your math teacher, Sir Ijaz Ram Sahai. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
grocery items, trust Low Cost Supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low Cost Supermarket, Southern Main Road, Cunupia.
Sheikleisure Limited, the Caribbean's largest manufacturers of plain and printed paper bags, leaders in plastic bags, vermicelli, split piece powder, and greaseproof paper, ideal for doubles, french fries, and sandwiches. Supplying stores nationwide. For quality products, trust Sheikleisure Limited, 665-3336.
Fruta, taste the real Fruta. Enjoy the real Fruta. Refreshing juice of every day. Whoa, Fruta.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys and welcome to See Results. I'm Miss Nyla and I'll be taking you through the next 50 minutes or so with ELA. So as you know, time is approaching. We are closer to the SEA exam, right? So now we can say we are counting on days rather than months, right? So we are still on section 1 actually with task 3. So we already completed the spelling aspect and punctuation. And of course, we are still doing reinforcements with both of those tasks. So don't worry, if you missed 1 or 2 episodes, although you should and try your best, to catch up on those episodes and all the information that you missed. But in section 1, task 3, which is the task that we are on now, grammatical section, right? We are covering a lot of topics here that is quite useful, of course, for this section. And you wouldn't want to miss, an episode or a lesson more specifically. So please try, make an effort, whether you go on our See Results page on Facebook or on YouTube. You can view the videos there once the live has ended, right? And of course on YouTube, it is there for you 24/7. So what we are doing right now, we are on pronouns, which we will be continuing today. But I just want to take a minute to mention that we want to start comprehension and poetry. We're not sure in which orders yet, but we will be starting them soon. I can't give you a date, right? But I'm saying that because people are asking. I know some of you are anxious and, answering questions can be very tricky, especially those fiction and non-fiction type passages that we get now in the essay paper. But don't worry, we are going to try our best to, cover as much topics and help you as best as we can. So, of course, stay tuned with us not to miss any of those things, right? So let's continue with pronouns for today. So we're just going to take a recap, look at what a pronoun is and recap on the pronouns that we already covered, right? So if you're joining us and you missed last day's episode, please pay attention. A pronoun, as we know, is a word used to replace a noun in a sentence. Pronouns are used so repetition of the same noun can be avoided. There are 7 different types of pronouns, and each has a specific function in a sentence. So this is what we are paying attention to here, the 7 different types of pronouns. Because yes, we know what a pronoun is, and we have been using pronouns since probably standard 1, Now it's time for you to distinguish between the 7 different types of pronouns and use them suitably in your writing, right? That is very important, using it suitably in your writing or appropriately, right? So we are looking at personal pronouns, which include subject and object pronouns. Then we have reflexive pronouns, demonstrative, indefinite, possessive, interrogative, and relative. So far we only looked at personal, we touched on reflexive, and we looked at relative, and we did a little bit of possessive, right? So these are the pronouns that we are going to focus on, and you are going to learn how to use it in your writing. So let's move ahead, right? So we said a subject pronoun, right, which is also a part of a personal pronoun. Personal pronouns can be the subject of a clause or sentence, right? So it's the subject of a clause or sentence. The subject of a sentence is the doer of the person, place, thing, or idea that is doing or being something, right? So that's a doer of your sentence. So you must always look at your subject, especially just as when we did subject-verb agreement. That was very important for us to, identify which verb to use and in which, whether it be in singular or plural, right? So here we have your 7 subject pronouns, and it is important, I can't stress that enough, that you memorize each and every one of these, right? So you have I, he, she, it, they, we, and you. All of these are your subject pronouns. For example, she hesitated to give back the trophy. Your subject pronoun in this sentence is she, right? She here is also the doer in the sentence. She is the person who's been hesitant to give back the trophy. She is the subject of the sentence. Now, we are not going to do a reinforcement exercise with subject pronouns, as we already touched on this aspect of pronouns last week. So this was just a gentle reminder or a recap. Similarly, with object pronouns, let's move ahead and see or remind ourselves, what are object pronouns? Also part of personal pronouns, I might add. Object pronouns indicate the receiver of the action. So whereas the subject is the doer, the object pronoun indicates the receiver of the action, the receiver in the sentence. They usually come after verbs and prepositions. So if you're having a hard time identifying your object pronoun, this is a hint for you. They usually come after verbs and prepositions. And you know what a verb is, and we discussed a lot about prepositions already. So you are quite familiar with those as well. And here are your 7 object pronouns. Me, her, him, it, you, them, us. For example, Omar gave the gift to David. If I wanted to replace David, for instance, with an object pronoun, I can say Omar gave the gift to David. If I wanted to replace Omar, the subject, right, the doer of the sentence, with a subject pronoun, I can say he gave the gift to him, David, as David is the object or the receiver in this sentence, right? So just to recap here, and not to confuse yourselves, your subject pronouns are I, he, she, it, they, we, you. Pay attention to your object pronouns. Me, her, him, it, you, them, us, right? So the only object pronoun there, the only pronoun there that remains the same is it, right? So you have to pay attention there to your subject and your object pronouns. And we also did a reinforcement exercise with object pronouns, as I just mentioned, so that should still be fresh in our minds. Maybe we can do some more exercises after we have completed the entire topic of pronouns and discussed all 7. So reflexive pronouns, while we did already started reflexive pronouns, I want to go over this in detail, because from doing the reinforcement exercise, I noticed that some children don't know whether to use yourself or yourselves or ourselves and so on, right? So we need to be able to distinguish which reflexive pronoun to use and make sure we use it correctly. So let's see how we can do that, right? We know that a reflexive pronoun ends in self, right, singular, or selves, which is plural. So they are object pronouns that we use when the subject and the object are the same noun. Again, look at this. they are object pronouns. Now, what do we mean by that? Similarly, as we just looked at object pronouns, all of these being your object pronouns, right? Reflexive pronouns include your object pronouns in addition to the ending self or selves. So if you look at myself here, my, right, is an object pronoun and we added self. Him, himself, we have the object pronoun him with the ending self. Similarly with herself or themselves. In the case of themselves, we have the object pronoun them, but in this case, it's actually selves being plural, because if we think about the word them itself is plural in meaning, themselves. So it's a plural reflexive pronoun. Itself is singular, yourself here is singular, yourselves here is actually plural, right? So yourselves and ourselves. Look at the object pronoun our, and the meaning of our itself means more than one. So that is plural by nature. So we have ourselves. So the ending there, selves, is also plural. So please be reminded that your reflexive pronouns, it's easy for you to remember that it may end in self or selves, but this part is important where they are object pronouns together with the suffix self or selves. So here I want to show you, right, how the reflexive pronoun is used in place of the subject pronoun, or when you are using the subject pronoun. For example, if you're speaking about I, right, you can say I myself. So I here, we would use the reflexive pronoun myself. And then we have you here, the subject you, and we have yourself. Okay, so I'm just going to take a short break there. We are going to take a pause for the Maghrib Adhan, and we'll be right back after these messages. Don't go anywhere, guys. Assalamu alaikum, good evening. Welcome back, guys, to See Results. I'm Miss Nyla, and we are currently looking at ELA. Well, we're on the subject of ELA, and we are looking at pronouns to be more specific. So right before the break, we started reflexive pronouns. And we are looking at this table here, which helps us to understand how the reflexive pronoun is used. For example, with the subject I, you would say myself. Again, that's singular. We have the singular you would say yourself. He would go with himself. She, herself. Not she-self, but herself. It's an object pronoun. You must remember that as well. It, itself. We would say ourselves, not we selves, but ourselves. We have you plural. You would say yourselves, right? For example, I would say behave yourselves if I'm speaking to my class, right? Or they would go with the object pronoun them, and we add selves to make it plural, which is also plural. We would say themselves. So, take a minute or two, look at this table, look at the reflexive pronouns, and, memorize them, get familiar with them, use them in your writing to help you if you're not accustomed using it, right? So let's see. We have about 6 sentences here. We're going to open up the lines. Feel free to call us and help us complete the sentences here using the correct or appropriate reflexive pronoun, right? So let's look at number 1. So the lines are going to be open. Call us and help us here. Let's look at number 1. She whispered to something when she was alone. She here, we're looking at the subject pronoun she, whispered to, and you have to remember which reflexive pronoun goes with the subject pronoun she. You guys gave something a difficult task. George and Mary did the project, something. Let's complete that. And we have a call on the line to help us. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Kelly Spencer.
Hi, Kelly. Welcome. So we're on to number 1 here. What is the correct reflexive pronoun to complete this sentence?
Herself.
Herself. You are correct. The answer is herself. So thank you, Kelly, for your call. She is correct, right? So Kelly is correct. So we have another call on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hi, evening. This is Nicholas.
Hi, Nicholas. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, so we're on to number 2. What is the answer here?
For number 2, you guys gave yourselves a difficult task.
Self or selves?
Selves.
Selves. Plural, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas.
Okay, thanks.
Right, so Nicholas is also correct there. So 2 correct answers so far. So she whispered to herself, right? Herself is used with the subject pronoun she. And I'm going to discuss number 2 after we take this call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hello, good night. This is Michaela.
Hi, good evening. Michaela, welcome. We're on to number 3. What is the answer for number 3?
Themselves.
Themselves. And we know it's them because it's more than one or it's plural. So you are correct. And thank you for your call. So George and Mary did the project by themselves. Right? So Michaela, thank you for that. Themselves. Have another call on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Yes.
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Rashid Hussein. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Nice to have you with us. So we're on to number 4. What is the answer for number 4?
Him.
What's that?
Him.
Okay, don't go anywhere yet. So we have you. We have the subject pronoun you and I. Have to ask. So if you're talking about you, you're speaking to your friend, so you're saying you and I, right? How will we reflect this, right, using a reflexive pronoun? You and I will be how many persons? 1, 2.
You and I will be 2 persons.
Right, so that's plural. So if it's you and I, what can we say? Would you say, all right, look at the list here for the reflexive pronouns. Will you say myself? Will you say you and I have to ask myself that question?
Yes.
well, it's actually, remember, myself is singular and it refers to one person or one subject. Here we have two subjects. We have you and I, which refers to two people, also meaning that it's plural. So therefore, our answer, we must know that our answer has to be plural. But which reflexive plural will it be? We only have, three reflexive pronouns here. Reflexive pronouns, we have ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. So it has to be one of the three here. So will you say?
Yourself.
Sorry?
Yourself.
Okay. Thank you so much for your call, and I'm just going to explain this as best as I can off here. So please pay attention, right? But thanks so much for calling and trying with us, right? So I'm going to give the caller, another caller, a chance to answer number 4, and right after I'm going to explain each one. So please pay attention, previous caller. Good evening. Welcome to See Results.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Micah George.
Hi, Micah. So we're on to number 4. What do you think is the answer for number 4?
You and I
Yes.
have to ask ourselves the question.
Singular or plural?
Plural.
Very good. Ourselves. How did you know it's ourselves?
Because you and I are plural.
You and I are plural, right? The subjects, therefore, are plural. And will it be, which one of the subjects will you and I refer to?
We.
Very good. Right? So the subjects, you and I, we can also say we. Right? So instead of saying you and I, we can say we. And we know when we have the subject pronoun we have to use ourselves. So thank you so much for calling. Right?
Okay.
Okay. And previous caller before that, don't worry, I'm going to re-explain this again after we have finished with number 5 and 6. Right? So let's move on to number 5. See if we have another caller there. The calculator will turn something off when it is not being used. And number 6, the students wrote the school play, and you have to give us the correct reflexive pronoun. So we have a caller on the line, so I'm going to take the caller for number 5. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to See Results. What's your name?
Kevin Chen.
Nice to have you with us. So what is the answer for number 5?
Itself.
Itself. How did you know it's itself?
Because the calculator is a thing.
Very good. Calculator is a thing, so therefore it's referred to as it. Great job there. Right? Thank you so much for your call. And we have a final caller to help us with number 6. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Ebenezer Smith.
Hi, Ebenezer. So what is the answer for number 6?
Yourselves. Themselves.
Them? Self or selves?
Selves.
Plural or singular?
Plural.
Plural. Very good, Ebenezer. Thank you so much for your call. Okay, so great job there, guys. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to stop with the calls for now until we have our next activity, but I want to re-explain each one of these to make sure everyone understands. So let's look. Let's just go back to our table here where we have our subjects, and then we have the reflexive pronoun which we would use in place of the subject there, or to help us if we have the subject in a sentence. So if you say I, if you're using I, you would say myself. If you're using you would say yourself. If you're using he, you would say himself. She, herself. It, itself. I'm going to pause there and look at this. Myself, yourself, himself, herself, and itself are all singular. So, right, they are all used with singular subjects, right? So you have to be mindful of that. And then we have we, you in the plural form, and they being plural. So we say ourselves, not self, ourselves, because our, the object pronoun our, is actually plural. So therefore, it would not be self, but selves. self is singular, selves will be plural. Ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. Now, just as the question where we had number 4 here, you and I, right? You have to look at the subjects given. You can say you and I have to ask ourselves that question. Or you can say, instead of saying you and I, you can say we, right? It means the same thing, you and I or we, right? It involves yourself and somebody else. So that's what's important to know there. You have to know when to replace your subjects. So you might not say you and I specifically on the chart together, like just as we have you separately and the subject pronoun I separately. Instead, we know that you being yourself and somebody else makes it more than one. Therefore, it is plural. So you and I can be referred to as the subject pronoun we instead of you and I. And Cole, I hope that you are understanding this, right? If you do have any questions, feel free to message our C Results page on Facebook, and we can probably re-explain it to you, or anyone else that may have difficulty here, right? So let's go on. She whispered to herself when she was alone. So the subject pronoun here, she, we know we have to use the reflexive form herself, right? With the object her and the ending self, herself. What about number 2? You guys gave yourselves a difficult task. You guys here, it's a plural subject. Therefore, once the subject is plural, you know that you have to use the plural form. And you in this case, right, it's not the singular you, as it is the plural you. You're probably talking to a group of people. So it's plural, right? So you have to say yourselves. And that gave it away when they gave us you guys. Okay, so you guys gave yourselves, plural, a difficult task. Number 3, George and Mary did the project by themselves, right? So we don't know, we probably do not know who is George and who is Mary. Or if we do, probably just 2 classmates, right? So we can say George and Mary did the project by themselves, not ourselves, because it does not include you. Okay, I hope you understand that. Number 4, we just explained this one. So you and I can be replaced with the subject pronoun we. It means the same thing because you are included in that subject. Have to ask ourselves, and it's ourselves, plural, because it includes 2 subjects or the subject is plural. That question. Number 5, the calculator will turn itself off when it is not being used. Calculator here, it's a thing, right? And to refer to things, we can say it, right? In this case, a reflexive pronoun, right, is itself. And number 6, the students wrote the school play themselves. So the students here is our subject, and this subject is plural, right? So we can say themselves. The students wrote the school play themselves, right? And I hope everyone is clear on reflexive pronouns. Don't worry, we will do another exercise just as we did here after we have completed the entire topic of pronouns. So let's move on to now demonstrative pronouns. And from the top of your head, do you know what is a demonstrative pronoun? Or can you give me a sentence using a demonstrative pronoun? Right? You must know what a demonstrative pronoun is. And I'm sure that you do. You probably don't know the name exactly, but you do use it on a regular basis, and you're going to see that now. Right? But you should be aware of the title. So we know that demonstrative pronouns, right, identifies someone or something. And there are 5 demonstrative pronouns that we will be looking at today. Right? We have these, those, this, that, and such. Such here is probably not commonly used, right? I can't say for sure in your classroom, but the ones that we do focus on are these, those, this, that. But you should know such as one as well. And I included it here just for extra knowledge in case it arises somewhere, right? So we are looking at 5 demonstrative pronouns. And we know that a demonstrative pronoun identifies someone or something. And this actually here, demonstrative pronouns identify, that should be. right? But that's just a typo there. So now that we know what is a demonstrative pronoun, this is important that you pay attention to this slide where we are going to look at demonstrative adjectives, right? So it's easy for you to confuse a demonstrative pronoun with a demonstrative adjective. So look at this here, right? We know that nouns do not follow demonstrative pronouns. Don't be confused when I say nouns and pronouns, right? Nouns do not follow demonstrative pronouns. When a demonstrative pronoun precedes a noun, it becomes a demonstrative adjective. I'm going to read that line over. When a demonstrative pronoun precedes a noun, it becomes a demonstrative adjective. So what they are saying here, when a demonstrative pronoun comes before a noun, it becomes a demonstrative adjective, right? So let's look at the example here. This is mine, or those are the best. Now, following the demonstrative pronoun here, do we have a noun? Is or are a noun? And neither are actually nouns, right? So is and are both verbs. So here we have demonstrative pronouns. I'm just going to put demonstrative pronouns in bracket here for you to pinpoint it easily. So first example, or first two examples where we have this is mine and those are the best are both demonstrative pronouns. Notice following or coming after the demonstrative pronoun is a verb rather than a noun. When a noun comes after the demonstrative pronoun, it becomes a demonstrative adjective. I'm going to say that again. When a noun comes after a demonstrative pronoun, it becomes a demonstrative adjective. Let's look at this example. This book is mine. Those flowers are beautiful, right? So this book here, book, is actually a noun. And flowers, we know that's a noun as well. So we have the demonstrative pronoun this, and we have the demonstrative pronoun those. And you notice here, when a noun comes after a demonstrative pronoun, it becomes a demonstrative adjective, right? So you need to be mindful of this and not to confuse a demonstrative noun, a demonstrative pronoun with a demonstrative adjective. So let's look at some further examples to help us here. We have demonstrative pronouns on one side or one column, and then we have demonstrative adjectives. So we're going to note the differences here. This is my chair. This is a demonstrative pronoun. Why? Because what's following it is actually a verb and not a noun. Looking at this example, this chair is broken. That's a demonstrative adjective. Chair is actually a noun. And when a noun follows a demonstrative pronoun, such as this, it becomes a demonstrative adjective. Let's look at another example. That is Peter's house. So again, following the demonstrative pronoun is a verb. And looking at this example, that house is huge. Following the demonstrative pronoun that, we have a noun. House is a noun. Let's look at the third example. These are her clothes, right? So here, these are verb here again. You have your auxiliary verb are. And then we have these clothes are wet. So notice how the change or in the order of words makes it a demonstrative pronoun or a demonstrative adjective. That's important to note. So with these clothes being a noun. Look at example number 4. Those are migrating birds. Following the demonstrative pronoun those, we have again a verb. And then in this example, we have those birds are flying south. Now, this becomes a demonstrative adjective because a noun follows this demonstrative pronoun. And our final example, where we include the demonstrative pronoun such, we have such is life. Such is a verb, sorry, not such. Is a verb, so such is life. And then we have I don't believe in such. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be here, right? Oh, such stories. I apologize, right? So such stories. So in this case, it does not begin, this sentence does not begin with such or with a demonstrative pronoun. However, look at this. I don't believe in such stories. Following the demonstrative pronoun, we have a noun. So again, this becomes a demonstrative adjective. So I hope from these examples here, right, and we did the 5 demonstrative pronouns that we are doing, just for you to become familiar. From these examples here, I hope that you understand, you know, and you are able to identify what is a demonstrative pronoun and a demonstrative adjective. And of course, if this is new to you, don't worry, you may not get it at first glance, but that's fine, that's normal. Just make sure that, you know, you rewatch the video, you go over and familiarize yourself with a demonstrative pronoun as well as a demonstrative adjective. So let's put this to test now. I try to identify which sentence is a demonstrative pronoun and which is a demonstrative adjective. So the lines are going to be opened, right? We're going to open the lines for you, call us, and when you read the sentence, tell us whether it's a demonstrative pronoun or a demonstrative adjective. Now, what you can also do, you can pinpoint the demonstrative pronoun, and if there's a noun that follows it, point it out. That's even better, right? It makes it easier for the callers, you know, who may not understand the topic at first glance, right? So we have a caller right there on the line, so I'm going to take this call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hi,
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Kevin again.
Hi, nice to have you with us, Kevin, again. So, number 1, you can read that sentence and tell us whether it's a demonstrative pronoun or demonstrative adjective.
It is a demonstrative adjective
How do you know that?
because after these avocados is a noun.
Very good. Right, so we have our demonstrative. So thank you so much, Kevin, for your call. We have the demonstrative pronoun here, and following that demonstrative pronoun, we have avocados, which is a noun. So thank you, Kevin. We have another call on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hi, evening. This is Nicholas again.
Hi, Nicholas. What is your answer for number 2?
A demonstrative pronoun
Tell me why.
because that's how I was taught, right?
Yeah.
For adjectives, right?
Yeah.
There's demonstrated adjectives that use to point out things. So pronouns, right? They use once there's nothing coming after it, that's a pronoun. And when there's something coming after it, then that will be an adjective.
Okay, that's great, right? Great explanation as well. So good job to you, and of course your teacher or teachers that helped you along the way.
His name is Mr. Nigel Pierce, so yes.
Okay, Mr. Nigel Pierre. Nicholas shouted you out there, right? So congratulations to you, sir. And of course, all the hard-working teachers out there, right? I know how difficult and how much pressure the SCA exam is upon you and both the students, right? So looking at number 2, he is correct. It's a demonstrative pronoun, and I'll come back to that and explain it, right over. So we have another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa. So we're on to number 3. What is the answer for number 3?
Demonstrative pronoun.
Pronoun, right? You are correct, right? So thank you so much for your call. And I'm going to explain this shortly. Don't worry, guys. I have another call on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Micah George.
Hi, Micah. So we're on to number 4. What is the answer for number 4?
Demonstrative adjective.
Thank you, Micah. Your answer is correct. Right? So thank you for your call. Okay. So we have another caller there for number 5. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening. Welcome to See Results. Okay, I'm not sure if we lost that call there. We have another call on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results. Okay, we lost that one there, but I'm going to give it a minute or two just so that we can complete number 5 and 6. And we have a call on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results. Good evening, caller.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
Jeremiah.
Okay, is it Jeremiah?
Yes.
Okay, hi Jeremiah. So we're on to number 5. What is the answer for number 5?
Demonstrative adjective.
Demonstrative adjective. Tell me why.
Because it comes after a verb.
Okay, what is a demonstrative pronoun in the sentence? Caller, are you there? Caller, are you there with us? Okay, I think we lost that call, but I'm going to give somebody else a chance to help us with number 5. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Antonio George.
Hi, Antonio. What is the answer for number 5?
A demonstrative pronoun.
Okay, great job there, Antonio. Thank you so much for calling. All right, and I'm going to give one person, right? We have a caller there on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Oh, I have to wait. Okay.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to See Results.
Yeah, hello?
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Geraldo.
Hi, Geraldo. What is the answer for number 6?
The answer is demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjective.
You are correct.
Adjective.
You are correct, right? Thank you so much for that call. Right, so great job there, guys. So I'm going to explain these 6 sentences to you. So let's look here at number 1, where we said put these avocados in the basket before they spoil. And we said that it's a demonstrative adjective. Now, how do we know that? Because we have the demonstrative pronoun these, which is followed by a noun. Once it is followed, once a demonstrative pronoun is followed by a noun, we know it's a demonstrative adjective. Whereas number 2, send that to the back. We have your demonstrative pronoun here, right? Following your demonstrative pronoun, we have to, that preposition there. So therefore, it becomes a demonstrative pronoun, okay? It is not a noun that follows a demonstrative pronoun, right? Instead, it's a preposition. Number 3, have you brought these for me? So we have your demonstrative pronoun with these, and then we have for, right? So if it is not a noun rather, then we know it's a demonstrative pronoun, right? So looking at that, number 4, this pencil belongs to John. Again, we have your demonstrative pronoun here. Following your demonstrative pronoun, we have a noun, therefore making it a demonstrative adjective. Number 5, may I borrow that in your hand? So that there is your demonstrative pronoun, right? And following it in, right, your preposition in there is actually not a noun. So once it's not a noun, we know the answer will be a demonstrative pronoun, or the sentence is a demonstrative pronoun type. And number 6, did you notice that cotton tree at the corner? So again, demonstrative pronoun, you must, what is clue here is not clue, but what is key here rather is that you are able to identify your demonstrative pronouns, and that helps you, right, to identify your, whether it's a noun that comes after it or whatever part of speech it is, right, that will help you. So cotton here is a noun. Therefore, it's a demonstrative adjective in this case. Right, so great job there, guys. Excellent work. So now we are now finished with demonstrative pronouns and demonstrative adjectives. Now let's go on to quantitative pronouns. And I know this lesson might seem a bit or too much information, or not too much, but a lot of information, I would say rather, because I know these are topics that you have already covered in school. But what happens sometimes is that we don't get, the opportunity to do all the reinforcement necessary, right? So we are busy with lessons, we are busy with extra work, And some of these topics, you know, end up falling behind, and we don't pay much attention to them. But all of these topics, I assure you, are very important, and it is of utmost importance that you do understand each and every one of these, right? So, yes, we are doing it in detail, but, you know, and it might seem like a lot of work, but please try your best to cope with it and to practice it more importantly. All right, so let's move on to quantitative pronouns. A quantitative pronoun indicates, or pronouns indicate an exact number. Just as the word quantitative comes from the word quantity, which tells us an amount, right? So indicate an exact number. They include 1, 2, 3, and so on. So this is quite easy, right? So quantitative tells you how much something might have in it, right? Gives us an exact number. So for example, Emily will receive 2 of the awards for graduation. Your quantitative pronoun here, 2, right? It tells us the exact number. Number 2, I enjoyed one of the 2 shows. So again, we have quantitative pronouns in this sentence, right? So it's easy for you to identify 1 and 2. Number 3, although she has 4 books of her own, I will give her 1 of mine, right? So there are 2 examples of quantitative pronouns in sentence 2 and 3. So this is easy for you to remember. You just have to remember quantitative comes from the word quantity, and it tells you of a number. In this case, with quantitative pronouns, it gives you an exact number, like 1, 2, 3, 100, 500, and so on. Right, guys? So that should be simple enough. So we are not going to do a reinforcement exercise with that. I think that's a little, you know, too simple, and we can probably focus our time on something a little more complex. So let's move on to interrogative pronouns, right? So what are interrogative pronouns? Do you know, right? What does the word interrogative mean? And you should be aware of its meaning, especially if you have been following the show from the very first day, where we started with, and used this actually, interrogative, that term, in creative writing. So again, of course, there's overlapping in ELA and creative writing. So let's see what are interrogative pronouns. These pronouns are used to begin a question, right? So interrogative, that indicates or help us or tell us that it's a question we are dealing with. However, these are pronouns that are used to begin a question. So some of these interrogative pronouns include who, whom, which, what, whoever, whomever, whichever, and whatever. All of these are pronouns or interrogative pronouns that you can use to begin a question with, right? And we are also accustomed with our 5 W's and H, right? Those are the ones that we use quite often. Here are some additional ones for you, like whatever, whichever, whoever, right? Whomever. You can even try incorporating those interrogative pronouns in your questions or even in your writing. So for example, and all you simply have to do is just to begin your question with an interrogative pronoun. So I chose which. You can form a sentence, not a sentence, but a question using the interrogative pronoun which. Which is yours, right? Or what is inside the box? To whom am I speaking? So I'm not saying, or you can say to whom am I speaking with, right? So you can say whom am I speaking with, who am I speaking with, or you can say to whom am I speaking. So right, it's up to you there. But the idea is to use the interrogative pronoun at the beginning of your question. And now this here, just as we looked at demonstrative pronouns and demonstrative adjectives where, you know, it's followed by a noun, we are going to look at interrogative adjectives, right? And you're going to see that the interrogative adjectives, whose, what, and which, when followed by nouns, are interrogative adjectives. So we are not using all of them, and the rule doesn't apply to all of the interrogative pronouns. However, they apply to whose, what, and which. 3 simple ones that you can remember, right? So whose, what, and which, when followed by nouns, are interrogative adjectives, right? So let's see what they mean by that. Which dress belongs to you? Here I have my interrogative pronoun, which, and it is followed by a noun. my noun here is dress. It becomes an interrogative adjective, which dress belongs to you. Okay, I'm not sure why I wrote that twice. Whose boots are these? Whose boots are these, right? Okay, for example, I just forget to mention here, and just go back to number 1 for a second, I do apologize. Which dress belongs to you? Here, it shows you that this sentence, or question rather, is an interrogative adjective, right? Because it is followed by a noun here. But if you look at this example, which belongs to you, right? We have which here being your interrogative pronoun, but the word belongs here actually is not a noun. So therefore, this is an interrogative pronoun, right? So I hope that you catch the gist there. Look at number 2. Whose boots are these? Whose here is our interrogative pronoun. Boots is our noun. Therefore, this is an interrogative adjective, right? So it's similar to the demonstrative adjectives where it is followed by a noun. Same concept here, and just in this case, it actually is an interrogative adjective. And your last question, whose are these, right? Where whose here is followed by your helping verb are. So this is a verb rather than a noun. So this is an interrogative pronoun, right? Okay, so I'm just going to pause there. We are quickly running out of time, and before we run out of time, I just want to recap, some of what we did today. And we started off by, we started off with pronouns, which is what we are doing essentially, but then there are 7 different types of pronouns that we are looking at, and you should be sure to understand. So we looked at personal pronouns, which include subject and object. We looked at reflexive pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, actually not demonstrative, yes, demonstrative pronouns and demonstrative adjectives. And then we looked at quantitative pronouns, and we are now on to interrogative pronouns and interrogative adjectives. So we are going to stop there for today, right? Please feel free to rewatch this video if you're watching it on the live as soon as the video has ended. And if not, go on YouTube or just go on Facebook and rewatch the video at your convenience. And right before we go, I just have to take a minute, to tell you about our Edmodo page. And of course, a lot of you, our callers are active members on the Edmodo class. So this here is your class code. If you are new and you would like to join the class, you must be sure to put in your class code to join. The instructions are simple for students as well as parents. Some parents, it's great that when you join as well, you will not be able to take the quiz. Unfortunately, some of you may be disappointed by that. But the idea is for you to work along with your child and for you to see, their improvement and progress, right? How well they are doing, right? So supervise. And I urge all parents, take 5 minutes and supervise your child while they are doing this quiz. Probably help them, remind them of the rules, and help them, and urge them to rewatch the video when necessary. And I also want to say, aside from parents, students who are doing this on their own, please, before you do the quiz or take the quiz, please read the instructions carefully. That is so important, not only for ELA and mathematics, but so for creative writing, right? We don't want to do the wrong thing or, answer something incorrectly or short of what we are capable of, right? So take your time, read the instruction, and rewatch the video if necessary. And I am saying that over and over because some of you do need to rewatch the video, but I don't know if you are too lazy or you don't have the time, but please make the time, right? Hard work really pays off, you know that. And if you don't, you will see after SE exam, right? So guys, this information is available on Facebook. Feel free to check us out there and join us tomorrow. We have ELA again, and we have creative writing. And of course, on Thursday, we have mathematics with Sir Ijaz, and we have creative writing. So I have been your ELA teacher, and I will see you tomorrow, God's willing. Do have a pleasant evening, guys. And it's been really great being in your company. I look forward to seeing you two guys tomorrow.